to, if there's any audio interruptions. Yep. All right, good. I know it's a big, decent crowd, so I'm sure as participants come in, James, good to see you. James is a student, so it's good to see you. How are you doing? Rajesh is also
I'm good. I'm good.
Rajesh, I think I've seen you too. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yes. So today, I'm sorry, we will have to keep admitting students. Students are still coming in and joining in. Today, when I start the session, I would like to bring across a perspective of not just project management, but also the agenda for the seminar today, which is trying to combine or hopefully trying to understand the relationship between quality improvement processes like Six Sigma and project management. More importantly, trying to understand the concept in the lean part of Six Sigma. As we all know today, that is quite primarily something that everybody is involved and into. So before I start the session, can I have a raise of hands of how many of you are Six Sigma certified, either yellow, green, black, anything to do with Six Sigma? Anybody who's certified? No yellow belts, no green belts. All right. Anybody who's project management certified, PMPs, ACPs, PBA, etc. All right. So
Yes,
Tariq, your
Sheikh
PMP.
PMP.
No, very nice, Sheikh. Good to have you. Tariq, good to have you. Akbar. Oh, Akbar. Akbar from my batch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So we have a few PMPs. So obviously there is an interest today in the, in the business world of trying to look at process management, process improvement, trying to understand how this business of quality improvements is really, really associated with projects. So today I'm going to address a few points with regards to that. We have almost an hour and a half to do that. So that's why I said, if you have questions, please ask me while I am speaking. If some of you cannot hear the sessions, I'm hearing a few comments from people who cannot hear it, then I would suggest that you log out and log back in, because I think I'm pretty audible to everybody, isn't it? I think it's quite clear, and I think you can hear me. So I would not understand why you cannot hear me. So Ayub, if you could just log out and log back in, that should make things better. I am now going to put you on mute. So if you have any questions during the session, please raise your hands. To start off my discussions, I would really try to help understand, or try to attempt to focus on the kind of chasm that exists between businesses and quality. Many companies have tried, many companies have attempted to integrate the voice of the customer to their businesses. Many customers have tried to manage the business of improvements. Many companies have tried to really see how they can improve their processes and procedures, and more importantly, how can they increase and improve their project delivery or their production or their inventory management, whatever the business lines they're in. So when we look at some stats that are available in the country today, this is stats coming in from a project management institute, which is a very recognized institute in the world. I'm just going to try and make a case for continuous improvement. And I'm just trying to show you the industry probably around 2019, even before the pandemic hit us. So when we talk about the industry, you're looking at almost 88% of organizations really struggling to implement strategy, implement what they want. And as you know today, 90% of all businesses are having their strategy based on the voice of the customer. So the customer defines an organization strategy. The market defines an organizational strategy. If you look a few years ago, 1940s, 1950s, 1970s, also 1980s, you would think that it was the other way around. Companies would create products, companies would create a product line, and they would assume that they know what they're doing best, and they would primarily tell your customers that this is what you should buy, this is what you should use. So you didn't, as a customer, you didn't have the thought process there. You would probably just adopt. So if you look at the phones, the Nokias, the cars in the previous world, you would find that they were the ones who would tell us, this is the product that we think you should use, just use the product. Over the 2000s, especially after 2010, you would find a drastic shift in companies' thought process. The companies would primarily make their strategies based on what the customer wants, and the companies would be driven very heavily by the voice of the customer. So 88% of all organizations believe that the implementation of the strategy, which is nothing but the voice of the customer, is absolutely vital to organizations to survive. And within that 88% of organizations, 61% of these very organizations actually fail or struggle to implement their own strategies. So it's a real hard end that organizations are facing at this point in time. When we talk about the implementation of strategy, 17% of organizations believe that strategic implementation is to be done by a few people within the organization. And 83% of all organizations believe that strategies have to drill down to the lowest person possible, meaning every person within the organization has to know the strategy, has to align themselves with the strategy, have to start believing in a way to implement what the strategic goals of the company are. If you look at what's happening today around the world, only 63% of organizations within the Middle East really understand continuous improvement, or at least the value of continuous improvement. It's very hard. It's actually unbelievable that there's only 63% of companies that actually believe in continuous improvement, because it's a big question mark as to what are the other companies really thinking, how are they operating, what are they working on? And it's a scary feeling. And if you look at the wastage that happens around, you will realize that, out of every 1 billion invested, almost 11%, which is around 109 million, is wasted due to poor performance. Now, we're not just talking about projects, we're talking about operations, we're talking about production, we're talking about inventory, we're talking about all of these kind of thought processes here. And it's very important for you to realize that, this chasm or the gap between what companies want to do and what companies can really do is getting wider and wider. And suddenly, after the 2019 to 20 pandemic, as we go outside, or as we look beyond the pandemic, there is one word that organizations want. There's one thing that organizations would like to achieve. Can somebody tell me that word? What do you think organizations are striving for? What do you think organizations would really do once this nonsense of the pandemic is over? How do you think what is the direction of 99% of the companies? What are they seeking?
I think it's savings.
I think savings is right now, as we speak. But once this is over, what do you think? What do you think they'll
be looking for profits? Yeah.
Profits, okay. Yeah, surely. They've eaten up their savings all the time now.
I think they will reschedule all of their system to make sure if they're on track or not.
Reschedule, yes, I like that word. Reschedule, Rebecca?
Most probably it would be cost saving.
Okay. And if it's not cost saving?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Najmul.
Hi, Abhishek.
This side. Hi. I think regarding the project, I believe that the company is more concerned about the outcome rather than output.
Sure. But that is from a project perspective. I'm mostly trying to understand from an organization perspective, what are every organization looking at? Stability, I like that.
Stability, maybe more customer-centric business model.
100%. Diana says profit.
They want to improve their processes. upgrade themselves.
Okay. Okay.
And they are looking for
Digitalization.
some sort of certifications.
Yes.
Certification.
Yes.
Okay.
See, eliminate
Because-
waste, maybe.
Sorry, what was that?
Eliminate waste.
Eliminate waste. Yeah, I think surely savings is almost going to be eliminating waste as well.
Yeah.
I think
Digitalization, yeah.
very well said. I like that. Digitalization. But more importantly, I think post the pandemic and even now, we are all looking at transformation. You know, every
Yes.
company knows we are entering a new world. Every company knows that this world is not the same. And every company now needs transformation, transforming the business. Meaning, if education does not transform, education will be out. Banking does not transform, banking will be out. If if oil and gas does not transform, oil and gas is out. If healthcare does not transform, healthcare is out. So every organization suddenly are looking at transformation. What should we do that we become relevant once this is over? What do we do to make sure that we exist, that we can be competitive, maximizing profit and decreasing cost? I can't read Arabic, but your name is in Arabic. But I think that's always going to be the agenda of every company. If you look at the strategic goal of every organization, it is decreasing operational cost. It is to maximize profit. Well said. Cash flow controls. I think it'll be quite surprising, to be honest, Jasser, because I feel companies will invest after companies are forced to invest, because if companies do not invest, they do not change, you will or they will not cease to exist. So it's very, very tricky area that we are getting into. So when we started to analyze organizations that are high performing versus low performing, we realized that apart from transformation, one word really stands out. And that word is agility. The thought process of organizations to be agile. What do you think is agility? We talked about transformation, but what do you think is agility? Organizations being agile.
I believe it's more like a mindset, like to from the typical for following this traditional approach.
Yeah.
Instead of following the traditional approach, it has to be much more agile, much more customer collaborative.
Yes, I think voice of the customer is an agile thought process.
Yes, voice of the customer. Yes.
Yes, but agility is a very, very big misunderstood thought process. We think agile is all about software, agile is all about a thought process, which is, technology and all that. But I think they're extremely wrong in our thinking of what really is agile. Organizations that are performing great today, organizations that are really beating the competition, have a different mindset. And the mindset which we call agile today is just this, is just practices that they can do better than the others. Things like responding very quickly to strategic opportunities, shorter decision cycles, change management, voice of the customer, risk management, eliminating project silos, organizational silos, usage of practices, leveraging technology. All of these are really things that organizations are doing in order to really become lean and agile and fast. And I think this is what people are paying people for. People want individuals and organizations to be, out there beating the competition. And if you want to beat the competition, this is pretty much it. This is pretty much the concept of agile. So when we talk about what the industry requires today, and if organizations are planning to go in this direction, and if organizations are trying to, become agile, which is basically nothing but these 10 points, you are looking at the requirements from the industry's purposes. Industries are looking at and saying, we need technical skills. Every manager who we are hiring, every individual who we are hiring, we intend them to have technical skills. We want them to have technical skills. Skills that are absolutely, related to the business that they work in. 71% of these very organizations are looking at leadership as one of the most important skills that are required for an individual, if at all that individual is given the challenge or the organizational responsibility of carrying out a certain job. But the most important skill that is now seen and required from managers is their ability to align their talent, their processes, their businesses to the organizational strategy. This is something that strategic focus has now become the most important thing, because every organization is now trying to redo their strategies and redo their business lines. So it becomes very important to have their strategic focus. Today's discussion is more on a concept called as Six Sigma. And I'm just wondering, how many of you think, or what do you think Six Sigma is? Which layer does it fall under? Does it fall under strategic focus? Does it fall under leadership? Does it fall under technical skill? What do you think the Six Sigma is, and how exactly, which triangular area or which part of the triangle do you think it belongs to? Yes, ladies, gents.
I think it falls in the middle. It's in between the top management, operations, and employees, because it's a cumulative effort.
It's a cumulative effort. Absolutely, absolutely. So does Six Sigma have technical elements to it? Surely that has to go without saying. There's, in fact, a lot of technical areas. And when we talk about does Six Sigma involve leadership? The answer is yes. Does Six Sigma involve strategy? The answer is yes. So whether you take projects, you take operations, you take any part of the business, you will realize that Six Sigma is a skill that just part of all. So yeah, quick way, an easy way of doing business. I'm not sure iPhone is that's a real correct answer, or looking at that thought process, but combination of all, yeah, I do believe that is very important. Now, Six Sigma has got a lot of myth, has got a lot of thought process behind it, which is absolutely not correct. So I'd like to take a small Q&A of what do you think Six Sigma really is? What do you think this element is? What exactly is Six Sigma? Can anybody talk to me about it? Can anybody put me a definition in your own words as to what exactly this is? Yes, Rebecca?
Process
Sir,
improvement.
based on my own understanding, I think Six Sigma is on the process capability, identification, and improving the performance in the operations.
In the operations.
Yes, sir.
So do you think that Six Sigma has any relevance to projects?
Exactly, sir, because the project would also tackle for the operations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense.
I think that Six Sigma is a continuous improvement through data-driven analysis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
For me, Six Sigma is just a reduction of NCR by identifying what's the root cause of the problems.
I think I like Zoeb's answer. I think it's a very big misconception as to what Six Sigma really is. I think it's just a problem fix. I think it's just a fix to issues. I think many people look at this word as a big word and they say, okay, it's Six Sigma means you have to be this and you have to be that. But I really, after going through the certification program, after trying to understand it, after trying to relate to it, I just realized that, okay, it's nothing but a way to solve problems. It's a problem solving thought process. And anybody who is Six Sigma certified, if he was in class or she was in class, she would agree with me, because it's nothing but a way to look at a problem and try to solve it, not subjectively, but statistically. Do you understand this? So it's more about numerical analysis rather than subjective analysis. You know, we look at a problem in the organization and we sit in a boardroom, we sit in a meeting, and we start looking at the problem. We say, this is the problem, that's the problem, 10 people having their opinions, but it's all very subjective. It's all very, you know, a thought process coming from your experience, your understanding of the business. That necessarily might not be true. That necessarily might not be correct. So how do you prove something wrong statistically? How do you say that this is the reason why we are failing? This is the reason why our material submissions are wrong. This is the reason why we have accidents on site. This is the reason why our defect rate is high. This is the reason why our inventory is always not in order. So whenever you have a problem, whenever you want to have statistical solutions to the problems, then I think the Six Sigma concepts work well. That's where the thought process of Six Sigma comes into play. As per definition, Six Sigma is a concept that helps you to understand how much deviation is there within a job that you do. Do you understand this? That's pretty much what it is. How much division is there in the job that we do? Now, all of you guys look very serious, so I'm going to ask a very stupid question. And don't ever think that I'm trying to make fun of you, or I'm trying to demean you, or I'm trying to put you down. I would just love you to answer this question. What's the difference between these words? What's this? Yes, guys, go on.
Accuracy is like reaching a target. For example, 100 means if you are reaching 100, that is accurate. But precision is you are reaching the target each and every time, and there is a certain tolerance is there, like either 99 or 100 or 101. That is the precision. But it has to, you have to repeat it.
Okay, Gaurav said very well, Six Sigma is the process of identifying the root causes. If I look at this picture and if I say, you know, this is a very simple bullseye picture. And if I look at this bullseye picture and say, okay, what do you call these points? And how do you compare the blue with the red? With regards to the words accuracy and precision.
Red ones are precise but not accurate.
Red ones are precise, but they're not accurate. Very well said. And the blue?
Quite opposite.
That's neither precise nor accurate, correct? So when we talk about the words precision and accuracy, accuracy is the correctness of the values, and precision is the closeness of the value. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So this is pretty much what accuracy and precision is, the correctness and the closeness. So when we talk about Six Sigma, we are trying to analyze both. We're trying to understand the thought process of, you know, blue is accuracy, red is precise. Accuracy is efficiency, precision is effectiveness. I think not correct definitions, Gaurav, but I think it's more to do with correctness and closeness. So when we talk about Six Sigma, it's about trying to understand the problem, understand it from a customer perspective, understanding it from a specification perspective in a project, and trying to find out how much of a variation is it happening between what we want and what the specifications say. So that is something that we are trying to understand. The Six Sigma concepts are mostly based on an understanding of how many defects are being created within the process. So we normally use the term defects in a million opportunities, and how much defect rate do we have in the process that allows us to then start investigating the process and trying to really find out the cause behind the defects or the defect rate, and then trying to create a sort of an improvement model around that defect rate that will help us to, clean the defect. So I think many a times when we talk about this endeavor, we are trying to really bring out our thought process around the process, around the defects that is created within the process, but more importantly, the specifications given by the customer. When we try to analyze anything around the defect rate, so the Six Sigma concept is basically trying to create a model or a system where our defect rate will be less or equal to 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So every time you perform a task, then or a job or a process, our product rate or our defect rate will be absolutely minimal, and we will be in a position to achieve 99.99966% accuracy. So we will be defect to almost around 0.00034%. So that is what we are really looking at. And obviously, the challenges that we have is not about reaching this point. The challenges that we have is about understanding where we stand today. So 90% of Six Sigma projects, obviously everybody understands that Six Sigma is just about reducing the defect rates to almost 3.4, reducing the variation within the process, and reaching an efficiency of 99.996. But it's also about understanding where do you stand right now? What's your current defect rate? How do you measure it? And this is not really a manufacturing logic. It's not really a production logic. It's a process logic. It's something that can be applied to projects, to operations, to manufacturing, to oil and gas. It doesn't really matter where you apply it, because ultimately the thought process is the same. So I would like you to understand it. I would like you to analyze it. And I would like you to tell me, how exactly do you perceive this word now? Do you understand the concept of Six Sigma? Do you understand what exactly it means with my definition? I think everybody's under a blanket here. Yes?
Yeah, it's pretty much clear.
Yes, it is. It is clear.
All right. So when we talk about Six Sigma, what is that one element that you think you should have which allows us to do all this? I mean, what do you think we need to work with? If somebody's telling you, listen, I would like to ensure that my accident rate in the company is 3.4 accidents per million tasks performed in a construction industry. Or if I say, I want to have a Six Sigma ratio in my drawing submission, meaning I would like to have only 3.4 defects per million submissions made. What do you think is the most important concept? Akbar says data quality. iPhone says data quality. Ray has given an absolutely good translation. He says Lean or Six Sigma is it's about finding strategic way to find solutions to a problem. Absolutely. I think data is what statistics relies on. And I think many of us have taken data for granted. We forgot how to analyze histograms. We forgot how to analyze pie charts. We forgot how to do regression analysis. So when we try to look at data, or it's very obvious that if you're trying to look at a solution, you need to have data or the quality of data, which is absolutely top notch. So you need to learn to create data. You need to learn to collect data. So if I use the word continuous data as compared to random data, what is continuous data?
The customer feedback.
Customer feedback.
For a return of experience with the customer. Suppose in case of projects,
Yeah.
The project completed, okay, then return of experience with the customer and with the staff who worked with them, to have a session with the management to give feedback to the management so that they can reduce the errors in future projects, whatever they undertake. So
If
that
I
customer
say,
feedback.
I think continuous data maybe, as per my understanding, which can be breakdown into a logical breakdown with a decimal value, like time or anything,
very well said,
length,
time, temperature.
yeah, temperature, yeah, like that, which can be logically break down into a decimal values.
So
If you
I
cannot,
hope you,
then yeah, that is a
sorry,
discrete.
sorry, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Abhishek, you were
No,
saying
that's it. Yeah, yeah. No, it's okay. I want to hear more from you.
something. No, it's all right. So basically, when we try and talk about Six Sigma, I think 90% of individuals who understand the concept, everybody, to be honest, understands concept. In my experience, when I'm teaching or when I'm listening to somebody, I believe that Six Sigma is not a concept that you don't know. We all understand the concept. We all understand what exactly it represents. We all understand the way it should be done. The logic is very simple. The thought process is very simple. And whenever I take Six Sigma classes, the most funny thing that happens is at the end of the class, students say, we understood the whole Six Sigma concept, but we don't know how to read data. We don't know how to analyze data. We don't know how to collect. We don't know if this data is to be collected for this problem. If there is a problem, what kind of data should we have? We have nominal data, we have continuous data, we have discrete data, we have random data. So how exactly and what exactly is the data that we need to collect to solve the problem? So if we have a problem, then what is the data? What kind of data should we use to analyze the problem? What kind of data should we use to measure the problem? What kind of data should we use to improve the problem? Everybody understands fishbone diagrams. Everybody understands Pareto chart. Everybody understands, histograms and scatter diagrams. But if I ask somebody, what kind of data is scatter diagram made up of? Or what kind of data Pareto charts are made up of? That's where the problem is. 90% of professionals in the world or in the country have a problem reading data, reading and understanding data. And I think I've always told my students that if in a Six Sigma course, if you leave the course with a good understanding of data, you will reach the top of your game very, very well. And you will be in a position to sit in a room and point fingers to something. Six Sigma or data analysis is nothing but a way that we can confidently say, this is the problem. This is the reason why things go wrong. And when you say something like that, there is nothing that can prove you wrong. That is because you have based your analysis on good quality data, and you also know the right data that you should be looking at. So when we talk about Six Sigma, it's about trying to understand, how much of deviation do we have in a process? Because almost the time that we have the deviations, if the deviation gets bigger and bigger, then obviously you're not really meeting the specifications of the customer. You're not really, within that range that you can really understand the customer's requirements. So you need to be within the tolerance given to you. Everything that we do, everything, whether it's coming to work, whether it's doing or rolling out a bottle of Pepsi from a manufacturing plant, or whether it's creating the cars, or whether it's producing pipes, or whether it's producing gypsum or steel, everything that we do has a method, has a process. And every process has some sort of a variability within it. If you look at this diagram, you will notice that the ends within the process will never meet. You will never find this happening. And this doesn't happen because the process will always be close to the target, but it will never meet the target. So when we look at a histogram like this, we look at trying to understand the process, and we look also to the histogram and saying, if this is the output of the process, we have a mean value, because this is the standard output that the processes comes up with. And most of the time when we do the job, this is the point that we're touching. But also when we do the job, we are also touching other points. But then comes a time where we go beyond a point where the customer does not accept it. And then we get into the defect zone. That is something that is not acceptable. So when you try to measure anything, you are trying to measure the variability that the points or the processes are creating, and then how much of that variability is really going outside the limits that has been defined for you. Now, this is a classic normal probability distribution graph, and what you see behind is a histogram. But then sometimes when you read the histogram, you also have something like this. You have a graph that goes not like this, but you have a graph that goes in one direction. So what do you make out of that data? What do you analyze from this? When the histogram, which should normally have a normally probable distribution curve like this, has got a curve like this. What do you make out of a histogram where your histogram goes in the opposite direction? How do you look at the process behavior when your histogram is behaving like this and not the normal distribution way? So this is all that Six Sigma is. This is basically the definition of it. Trying to analyze data, trying to understand the customer's specifications, trying to understand our process mean, trying to understand the defect rates that our processes are bringing into, and then trying to solve the problem, which is a concept that can be applied to everything, including parking your car in a garage. So it doesn't really matter what exactly you're looking at. So if you need to park your car in a certain method, that is the target. Then there are two sides to the car, and this is the gap that you need to maintain the car. The moment you go to one side, you are in the defect zone. So to give you a very simple, basic example of what exactly you need to analyze, why is it that I'm parking my car every time? And why is my car being parked here? Because the moment my car starts getting parked here, I am getting into a specification limit that is not acceptable. I'm getting into a defect rate. You see, suddenly we start thinking, oh, does it really apply to projects? Does it really apply to the project thought process? Does it really apply to what I am doing? Yeah, it's good for pizza deliveries. How many pizzas are going beyond the 30 minutes delivery cycle? We want to put it at 30 minutes. How many pizza deliveries are going beyond it? Yes, we should study that process. We should study the fix to the process. Yes, in a production environment, in a manufacturing environment, in an operational environment, Six Sigma has been around for years and years and years. But today's discussion is not around Six Sigma being around within the operational environment or the inventory or the manufacturing environment. It's about how Six Sigma, due to the current situations and the current need for transformation, has come into the project environment. Any questions so far? Am I putting you guys to sleep?
No, not at all.
All right. Fair enough. So yes, if you have any questions, please do ask. I see a lot of my students here, so who are not PMP certified, so they should be actually studying while they're listening to this lecture, but okay. Now, it's very important to understand that when we talk about trying to analyze the mean and trying to analyze our target, we understand that there is going to be a deviation for sure. Nothing is accurate all the time. You cannot be accurate all the time. It's very hard for you to be expecting to come to work at 9.0000 every morning. Obviously, your methods could be the same, but the process will have some variability. But then you should try to fix your methods and your process to at least 3 standard deviations. Because if you're able to do that, the maximum tolerance that your customers would give you within a certain job is they would allow you to work with at least a 3 standard deviation. So if at all you are accepted by the customer to do a job, the customer specifications are mostly connected to a standard 3 deviations. So if you are supposed to if you're supposed to deliver a progress report on the 15th of the month, they would accept 3 standard deviations from 15th to hand over the report. So that's pretty much what you are trying to do. But as we go into detailed, complex jobs, we try to analyze and we try to understand how exactly can we reduce our standard deviations. How exactly can we, move our standard deviations from what you see before to what you see after? So how can we almost work within that line? To an extent that there is nothing defective coming out, where what if the customer, it's like if your company is telling you, come to work at between 8:30 to 9:30. You come before 8:30, you're marked or you're marked early. If you come to work after 9:30, you're marked late. And every day you are between 9 to 9:05. When the company looks at your attendance sheet, they look at it and say, this is almost a perfect reading. How does the guy pull it off? How stable is the process that he's always or she's always coming to work between 9 to 9:05? To give you a layman's example of the data. So when they look at it, they will never be able to find a defect. Yes, they are treating the defect at 9:30, and when you work, your readings are coming between 9 and 8:55 to 9:05. So you're very far away from the customer's expected specification. So your quality of work is absolutely on the target lines. So you are absolutely working within 1 standard deviation from the mean. So this is what really we are trying to understand. How can we improve, keep improving, so that our methods, our way of work, our outputs are absolutely on the target lines, and which will allow better customer satisfaction, zero rework or very reduced rework, absolute defect rate, which is 0, more profits, more productivity, happy employees. The consequences of this are quite spread. So if you associate Six Sigma with employee satisfaction, yes, because when employees don't find defects in the process, they're happy. When you're asked to do a job 10 times, you're obviously demotivated. And when you are able to produce a job correctly for the first time, that's happiness. The employees are motivated because they believe that the processes that the company has set up is absolutely perfect. There is no defect in the process. So if we just follow the process, we will produce the right method outputs. And that is what we intend to achieve out of Six Sigma. When we talk about why we want to use metrics, why do we want to look at it? It's very important for you to understand that if you have done the job perfectly 99 times, and the one time that you made a defect, if that defect reaches the customer, the impact is the same as, 99 defects reaching the customer, especially in manufacturing and production, especially in, you know, in the way we put our process. I'm just reading a question from Shahbaz who says, can you please explain Six Sigma with the example as where we can actually apply it? Six Sigma can be applied everywhere, Shahbaz. It can be applied in projects. It can be applied in operations. If I take an example of operations, you are producing 1 million Kit Kats every day, correct? There is 15 processes. There are 30 processes. There are 45 processes that create 1 million Kit Kat every day. What is the defect rate that you have in that? If the factory works on the Six Sigma thought process, you can expect 3.4 Kit Kats to be defective out of 1 million Kit Kats produced every day. Just to give you a very layman example of how the Six Sigma thought process is applied in manufacturing. Talk about F&B, for example. If you want to apply Six Sigma in a service industry, which Babar says, if you're looking at service industries, you're looking at customer satisfaction, you're looking at customer retention, you're looking at customer satisfaction ratio. If your process is working great, then your customer satisfaction rate has to be a certain metric, correct? So you, Babar, can say, I want my customer satisfaction to be maintained at 90%. I want it to be in the 90% thought process. If 90% is your mean, how many customers? So if you want to just take a probability distribution, I'm just trying to put it across. If this is your mean value, which is primarily, you want your satisfaction rate to be at 90%. So if 90% is your target, when you take a reading of your customer satisfaction, there will be customer satisfactions. So you will maintain tolerance. You know that not every customer will be happy will be there at 90. So you keep some tolerance and you say, okay, I can accept a maximum of 9. Okay, we can have 95 to 85. Any customer who's not happy between 85 to 90 to 95, I will take it forward. So you have to analyze both records. You have to analyze because most of your data points are expected to lie here, right? Most of your data points are expected to lie here. So whenever you take a customer satisfaction call, you expect customers to lie here. This is your normal distribution, correct? But if a customer satisfaction survey shows that he's at 99% or here, you have to investigate. You have to know why exactly this happened. Out of every 1 million customer calls, you will find 3.4 customers on either side of the tolerance. So that is absolutely acceptable that you'll find some customers here. But what if you have more customers lying here? Then you have a problem, isn't it? Then you have a problem, because now my customer ratios are going beyond the tolerance that I have. Now, whether you take a service industry or you take a manufacturing plant or you take a customer life cycle, you take anything, to be honest, you can plot if you have data. So Babar has asked the first real question of the class, and that is, where the hell do I get the data from? And that is the reason why we undertake Six Sigma projects. Because if you try to analyze it, if you are trying to point out, because only after you collect data, only after you analyze this data, will you be in a position to understand why is my customer satisfaction ratio so low or going beyond the tolerance. Learn how to collect data, and more importantly, learn what kind of data you need to collect in order to analyze to get the right results. So this is something that we will have to study. Obviously, this is part of the course, but what I'm saying is sometimes, every defect, one defect reflects a failure in the customer's eye. For example, let's take this classroom. There are how many students here? There are 42 students in this classroom. All right. Let's assume that I give all of you a certificate of completion. What is customer satisfaction to you? What is the meaning of customer satisfaction? What is the definition of customer satisfaction?
Aligning the requirement of customer.
What is your requirement?
Learning Six Sigma for project management.
is that customer satisfaction? This is 1 hour. You're not going to learn
No,
anything
I
in
mean
this 1
applying
hour.
it. I mean applying it. I mean learning and applying it. Then only like it's.
Sure.
We'll be happy. Yeah.
But what I meant to ask you, Neville, was at the end of the course, for example, if I were to distribute a certificate, that is the one output that you get from this course, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are 42 boys and girls in this class. All right. Imagine 41 of them get their names correct. And one of you gets a certificate with a wrong name. To that one person, this is a failure, isn't it? To that one person, it's a defect. Now you can't sit down and convince that individual, listen, Gina, don't worry, 41 of the boys and girls got their certificates right. Only you got it wrong. She will say, I don't care. Why did you get mine wrong? Okay, you got 41 right. Why did you get mine wrong? Because the process is faulty for her. From her perspective, the seminar is faulty. Do you understand? So if sorry, there's a fire in the building, I think. So when we look at, I like what she said or he said, which is perception is performance. Perception is performance. I really don't think that's perception is not performance. Performance gives rise to perception. I can put it the other way around. So I would like to have you understand that sometimes when we look at, and this is why you find companies that are into manufacturing and F&B so focused that not one item should be defective. In projects, unfortunately, that's not really the case. So we need to create a common metric that will make us or allow us to make our comparisons. We would love to have indicators that helps us understand whether our process performance is average or below average or above average. We think that 99 out of 100 is good enough, whereas it's very important to understand the difference between a 3.8 standard deviation and a 6 standard deviation. When we talk about, a 99% perfect ratio, you're looking at 200 articles or 20,000 articles of mail lost every hour. If you try to compare it to Amazon, you're looking at 220,000 deliveries going delayed. If you're looking at Domino's, you're looking at 20,000 pizzas delivering late. If you look at projects, you're looking at 20,000 submissions going wrong. If you compare it to 99.999, you're looking at 7 delayed deliveries or several articles of mail lost per hour. So when you try to compare between 99 to 99.9, you will find that the tolerance will give birth to a lot of defects. So the reason why Amazon wants this ratio as compared to this ratio is that for every 1 million deliveries they have 20,000 defects, as compared to a Six Sigma, where every 1 million deliveries they'll have only 7 late deliveries. So this is what projects are now trying to get into, because we are in a world where we are expected to have absolutely 0 defects when we do our job, because every country, the growth rates of every country are less than 3%, 4%. So you really don't have, how do I put it? You really don't have the opportunity for error, as we call it now. When we talk about comparisons between 99 to 99.99, you're looking at these. You're talking about a company, if they take 1 million surgical operations in a year, you're looking at 5,000 incorrect surgical operations in a week, whereas you're looking at 1.7 incorrect surgical operations per week. So when we talk about drug prescriptions, delivery, production rates, project failures, you're looking at a massive difference between 99 to 99.999. When we look at 99 to 97, the tremendous difference between the variables is something that no company would expect going forward. So if you have to ask, where exactly did this thought process come from? The thought process came from Toyota, which was manufacturing, or Motorola, which was a manufacturing company. It was highly understood that the company was really producing defective items which were coming out the first time. So there is a concept which is called out as the yield, the first time yield, which is basically how many outputs do you produce that are absolutely defect free the first time. So, every manufacturing unit tries to create a rollout throughput or a first time yield where they want to ensure that the first time that the bottle of Pepsi comes out, it's perfect. Or the first time that a chocolate comes out, or the first time that a coffee machine comes out, or the first time that a car comes out, or the first time you do a material submission, the first time you look at a site mobilization, it's perfect. So the first time yield is very important for many companies, because when you have a great first time yield, then the defect is low, the rework part of the job is very, very less, and the cost of quality is very, very manageable. So Motorola started to work on creating a very high first time yield, which means they were trying to really focus on trying to ensure that the first time that the phone comes out, it's absolutely perfect, which would result in higher customer satisfaction. Even though Motorola started it, it was General Electric that really brought Six Sigma down to the floor, as we call it. So it was he who said, let's get Six Sigma down to every employee of the organization. Let quality not be a management approach. Let quality not be something only related to the high level or the high individuals of the company. Let it go down to the lowest man in the company, the lowest woman in the company, which made amazing savings that they bought into the process. So they defined Six Sigma as a quality program that experiences a great change in customer behavior, lowers your cost of production, and builds better humans. There are many bases to Six Sigma, and most of it are statistical in nature. So what you will try to learn and what you will try to understand is the same job that you do, is the same thought process that you have, except that you would bring in a bit more statistical analysis to your work. So you would be doing the same thing that you do, except that you would be probably looking at a much better way of doing it. So when we talk about the theoretical or the statistical thought process behind Six Sigma, or the tools that we use, it's mostly the quality control statistical tools, the charts that we use in quality control and quality assurance, the tools that we use for variation calculations within the process, tools that help us to analyze out of control thought processes, the understanding that you will have to analyze the processes and study the processes, and obviously learn to create normal distribution patterns within your processes. All of these are the normal theoretical thought processes behind Six Sigma. One of the biggest misconceptions is that Six Sigma is just a manufacturing production thought process. Yes, it did start with them. It did start with the Toyotas, the GEs, and the Motorolas, but now it has come down to almost every business segment that we have. So heavily used in projects, heavily used in customer service and customer management, finance, IT, HR, etc. So, you know, it's just logical, isn't it? Because every business in the world suffers from two problems: delays and defects. And you can have a theoretical assessment to it, or you can have a statistical assessment to it. If you're going to have a statistical assessment to it, use Six Sigma. It will be a much better way to solve the problem. It'll be a much more, what do you call it, clearer way to solve the problem. PMI and Lean Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma Green Belt projects or Green Belt analysis are used to look at 5 kinds of projects. So when it comes to an organization, it's very important to understand that the organizations undertake projects. Is every project a Six Sigma project? The answer is no. If I ask you, is creating a website a Six Sigma project? The answer is no. If creating a building on a Six Sigma project, the answer is no. Six Sigma projects are projects undertaken by organizations to do 5 things. And it's very important for you to understand these 5 things. There are problems that we have now in the company. You need a solution to that. These are called as quick fix projects, or just do it, or fast track projects. Projects that are really limited to a month, month and a half, 2, where we have a problem. So we have a problem with a certain production. We have customer service ratios going down. We have materials that are coming out defective. Our installation has gone wrong. So we have issues within our projects or within our general operations. So companies may undertake a Six Sigma project, but the category of the project will be called as a quick fix project or a quick win project. These are projects undertaken by organizations when there is a problem in a certain business or in a certain method or in a certain area of work. The other kind of Six Sigma projects that organizations undertake are projects where there is a problem within the process itself, the overall process, and the process is either defective as a whole process, or it is running late, or it's costing us more. This is where the issue and the solutions are not clear. In a quick fix project, the issue is very clear. The issue is very understood. But in a process improvement project, the process is not understood. We know there is a problem, but we don't know what is the problem. And that is where we end up in a process improvement project, which is basically going to use a Six Sigma theory called as DMAIC. It can also use in today's world the PDCA or the lean processes. Sometimes we want to not rectify a process, but sometimes we want to redesign the process. We want to completely create a new process. When you have to create a new process, then the project that we undertake is a process redesign or process design project. This is also a thought process called as DMADV rather than DMAIC. Sometimes we have to redesign the process, which is also called as re-engineering. The process exists, but we need to improve, we need to increase, we need to maintain. So we're having a process that produces, 1,000 outputs per hour. Now we want to increase it to 1,100. So the existing process cannot be improved to create 1,100. We have to re-engineer the process, which is called as a process redesign. Sometimes the problem is not at a process level, it's at an organizational level. Maybe the voice of the customer has changed, the process capability has to be changed. We have to have a completely different area of looking at the business. So if you're going to do an organizational level implementation of Six Sigma, then that would be related to an infrastructure related process management. So I want to leave this audience with a myth that don't think that every project is Six Sigma. There are only 5 types of Six Sigma projects. Either you have a small problem within a certain process that you know that there is a problem and you need to solve it, or you know that the entire process has a problem, or you want to redo the entire process, you want to create a process from scratch, or you want to re-engineer the problem or the process, or there's a problem at the company level and you want to resolve it. So the scale is higher and higher. So these are the 5 Six Sigma projects undertaken by any organization. And as a project manager, you could also be told that, why don't you do this project? We have a small problem, why don't you undertake it? Or as a Six Sigma expert, you could be told, listen, we have a problem, please undertake the project. This is where projects and Six Sigma meet. Because as a individual, you need to understand how to work in a project environment, but you also need to know how to analyze data, how to look at quality, how to perceive this, and how to improve. So you need both the thought processes of projects and Six Sigma, because it is done in a project environment. You have a project environment under which you need to resolve something that the company is facing. So if the company has a high defect rate in the assembly, which project do you think you would undertake?
Quick win,
Quick win.
because
the
they know the problem where it is.
Thank you. You know the problem. You know that the problem is in this area of the factory, or you know that this, if, for example, you understand that I have a printing press and there is the packaging of the item is where the problem is. So you focus on the packaging. Why do you want to focus on the entire process? But if the print is coming out wrong, the print is coming out wrong, then you have a process problem. You don't have a quick fix, you have a process problem. If the customer satisfaction of the company is going low, then which kind of a Six Sigma project do you think you should undertake? Yes, gentlemen, ladies.
Question again, please.
If the customer satisfaction of the company or the customer retention of the company is falling bad, you are losing customers, which of the 5 projects or the 6 projects do you think you should undertake?
I think process redesign.
Process redesign?
Process improvement.
Process improvement. Or is it infrastructure implementation?
Infrastructure, sir. Infrastructure implementation.
When the company has a problem, Abdul Latif, you go with infrastructure environment, because it's a company problem. The problem could be anywhere. It could be in any department. It could be in anywhere. It could be a combination of departments, could be a combination of things, So that is something that you have to look at. And again, I go back to the definitions and I say, ultimately, it's a project plus a problem. It's a problem solving project. Whenever a student asks me, what is a Six Sigma project? I say it's a problem solving project at a process level, at a company level. It doesn't matter. You should be able to pull it together. Any questions? Now, if you look at the hierarchy of Six Sigma, many people also get it confused, because many times we talk about Six Sigma and project management together, but there are 3 levels or 4 levels of Six Sigma. Sometimes the levels are broken down further, but this is the normal six levels. Within the green belt, there are 2 more, and within the black belt, there are 2 more. So yellow belt is just basic awareness of Lean Six Sigma. Green belt is where the data thought process comes in, where you are taught how to study data. You're taught how to collect data. You're supposed to know what data is relevant for what elements. You are expected to understand what is the right kind of data to be used for which kind of a problem. And obviously the analysis of data comes into play, the improvement of the process comes into play, and obviously the control part of the process comes into play. So green belts are very focused on the DMAIC. So basically, until this point of time, you can use the green belt. You can also use the green belt until this point in time. So you cannot use green belts for re-engineering, but you can use green belts for quick wins, process improvements, and redesigns. When we talk about the black belt, you're talking about at least a company-wide project implementation. So black belts mostly look at process redesigns and infrastructure implementation, because it's at a company level. You need more, you need data plus the project management thought process to put it together. Shabazz, is that question for me? If I know the Six Sigma process and if I'm not good in data analysis, will I be a Six Sigma expert? And if not, how can I improve my data analysis skills? I think this is such a very good question, Shabazz. And thank you for the question. I think this is the biggest problem in Six Sigma. I think everybody, and I'm sorry for being so brutally rude, but if you are here, you understand Six Sigma. You understand Six Sigma as a concept. If you know how to analyze data, you should be here. If you know how to do projects plus data, you should be here. This is pretty much the Six Sigma thought process. So if you don't know how to analyze data, if you don't know data management, quality of data analysis, if you don't know how to use data, then I would not call somebody a Six Sigma expert. I mean, you could keep talking about DMAIC and DMADV, you could keep talking about all these thought processes, but then at the end of the day, if I give you a quick fix, and if you become subjective, if you know a fishbone diagram, you know that you have used a fishbone diagram and you have used a subjective thought process to tell me that this is the problem in the process, I will tell you, how did you come to the analysis? And if you tell, oh, Najmul, I thought, that's it for Six Sigma, isn't it? Because you cannot think as a PMP student, as a project manager who is PMP, who does not know data analysis, I can make that statement. I can say, yes, I am looking at a problem. Maybe this is the problem. Maybe this is the reason why things are wrong. Yes, because I don't know how to analyze data. But you being a Six Sigma green belt holder, you cannot use that statement. You cannot say, I think. You have to be perfect. Your assessment has to be quite proper. Any questions? So when we talk about Six Sigma projects, the methodology that we use to do it is called as the DMAIC, which is primarily trying to initiate a project using the typical project language or terminology of project chartering, but obviously we define the problem. So the project is undertaken with the problem definition, and you would define the problem. You would start to you have to, as a Six Sigma expert, learn how to define the problem, because you don't want a situation where Diana says, this is the problem, and Gaurav says, no, this is not the problem, and Randy says, no, I don't agree with both of you. This is not the problem. I think something else is the problem. If you're looking at a quick fix project, if you're looking at a problem, then everybody has to know this is the problem. Everybody has to agree that, yes, this is the problem we want to solve, so that the project is undertaken from that thought process and that real element. So definition of a Six Sigma project is very important. We need to learn how to collect information about the process and the customer thought process. The voice of the customer is very important. Measurement is all about data. It's all about collecting data on the situation, learning how to use metrics, learning how to do the analysis that we keep talking about, regressions, scatters, learning how to analyze data comes next. So you analyze data to find the root cause. And then you move into the improvement part of the process where you can statistically improve the process. But more importantly, the most important step is to ensure that the output that we get at the end is exactly what we want, and we can actually maintain that normal distribution at all times. So this is the typical Six Sigma project methodology, and you have to spend almost a week on each and every step to learn how to do each and every step, from the definition point to the measurement point to the analysis point to the improvement and the control. As I've said, there are two methodologies that Six Sigma projects undertake. Either, as we said, when it comes to a process improvement or a quick win, we use the DMAIC. And if you're going to look at process redesign, we look at DMADV, which is also a new thought process, except that when we come into a new thought process, it's more about designing a feature rather than improving the feature. So everything remains the same, the definition remains the same, the measurement remains the same, the analysis remains the same, except that in one, we are creating a process, whereas in the other, we're improving or trying to currently solve the problem. So these are the two thought process. Is Febin says is a failure measurement part of Six Sigma. In fact, it is the most important part of Six Sigma. And FMEA is something that can be applied as a benchmark to identify, but FMEA is also used for definition, measurement, analysis, improvement, and control. So Febin, your question is very valid. In fact, it's used very heavily during the definition stages and the measurement stages. Yes, Ray, RDMAISCI is also applicable, but again, as you said, if there is no problem, then there's no need for improvement. Improvements can come in if the market changes or the customer changes, but don't try to fix what is not broken, So, DMAIC is always about when there is a problem. And you're very right in the fact that if the companies do not accept it as a problem, then nobody wants a solution. So it's very important for everybody to agree that there is a problem. So DMAIC is a method used to improve the current capabilities of an existing process. This is very important. And it's the most commonly used methodology for Six Sigma teams and Six Sigma projects. DMADV is used when you need to create or completely redesign a process. It's usually handled by project managers and Six Sigma experts. So normally the green belt or the black belt, mostly black belts and green belts work on this. This was Six Sigma in a nutshell. I'm really sorry if I have taken a lot of time, but I hope I put my point across to you. When we talk about lean, I think it's more about the agility part of the process. It's about trying to do the same Six Sigma process, but much faster, much faster. So trying to look at the elements of waste and the elements of rework in the process. So it's about increasing the speed of what you do. So there is speed and there is improvements. So if I have to, if you look at the Six Sigma concept, it is Six Sigma is all about improvement and lean is all about speed. So if we want to do things faster and we want to have it defect free, then Lean Six Sigma comes into place. So you're trying to do the same job faster without defects. Six Sigma is doing the job without defects. It not necessarily does not mean it's fast. It's yes, we are doing the job. It's now defect free. We are much within tolerance and we are not creating defects. That's Six Sigma. But sometimes, given the market, given the conditions, we also have to get it done fast. So lean comes into play where the speed factor to the process is also done. So, we increase the speed of the process, which will help us eliminate the delay. So it will help us eliminate the delay, and Six Sigma will help us eliminate the defect. So you are focused on delay and defect if you're looking at Six Sigma lean thought process. Again, Six Sigma improves the effectiveness of eliminating defects, whereas Lean Six Sigma improves the speed. So Six Sigma improves quality, Lean improves the speed. So effectiveness and efficiency comes into play. Effectiveness from a Six Sigma concept and efficiency from a Lean concept. Therefore, if you find in today's world, this is the biggest buzzword rather than this. So Lean Six Sigma is now seen as more beneficial because now you're adding that speed component to the effectiveness of the process as well. Toyota was the originators of Lean, where they were really trying to just enhance the production within their plants. So they started talking about, how can we really kill the American market? American markets were really coming up with smaller numbers. They were coming up with great products, but they were coming up with smaller numbers, and Toyota wanted to beat it. So speed was the only way to do it. And that is where the Lean thought process came into play. And that's where, they started. That's really where the Japanese took over the Americans, so to say. The core ideas of Lean is very simple. Do what is necessary. Know the voice of the customer. Don't overproduce. Don't fill up your inventory. Don't have processes that are front loading your business. Front loading your business is buying everything up front and keeping everything up front, so that you don't fall into a trap. But just in time is what they really bought about. They thought about a one-piece flow, meaning start to finish. There was absolutely no disturbance to the process. And that is where they brought about the seven muda, or the 7 areas of waste, which is something that Lean Six Sigma focuses heavily on. Six Sigma also, along with Lean, tries to understand problem solving, tries to look at problem solving and try to relate to problem solving. So Ray says very beautifully, Lean is all about eliminating the effects of downtime, which I don't really agree, Ray, that it really affects quality. Lean does not really affect quality. Six Sigma improves quality. Lean just increases the speed. This is pretty much what it is. If you have to be fast, I was listening to a conference where somebody said, if you have to be fast, you have to be thin. You have to be lean. You cannot be fast when you're overweight. And nobody says you can't run. Everybody can run. But if you need to be fast, you need to lose your weight. You need to be lean, because that is where your speed really matters. And that is where you can produce more. So Lean Six Sigma is all about going back to the process of Six Sigma, is about looking at the process and then saying, okay, this process is working perfectly. What should we do to now make it fast? What can we take out? What can we remove? And then obviously make sure that there's no defect still. So Lean also ensures that there is no defect, but it tries to avoid over inventory, the waiting periods, resources that are not used, trying to put the right people in the right place, making it, making your movements anything that makes your movement very slow, they will try to enhance it. You look at waste management, move away the time that you take and the effort that you take from having people move in and move out. So many times when you look at a factory, I was just at a factory once, and it's so simple. If you have a factory, you don't want interruptions. You don't want a person, if somebody is moving, you don't want the other person to get up. You don't want the other person, because if that person gets up, then in order to facilitate the movement, then you're wasting time, And in a factory environment, you are looking at movements as a very serious component to wastage. The process may be perfect. The process may not be creating defects, but the fact that there is wastage in the process is killing time. And Lean is all about trying to remove the 7 speed bumps that exist in a process. And that is what we will have to learn, which is not called as the non-value added waste. anything that absorbs time, money, and people, but does not create value. So when we talk about the lean process within Six Sigma, it's about sorting the process, it's about straightening the process, it's about sweeping the process, it's about standardizing the process, and it's about sustaining the process. So it's called as the 5S, which is nothing but the counter to waste management. It's nothing but the antidote to waste. It's about really looking at, so they say if you really want to work well, and if you feel you're getting very demotivated at your work, come into your office and remove everything that's lying on your table that's not required. Clean up your desk, sort it out, remove everything that's a waste. Look at what you don't want, look at what you're not using, just remove everything, clean up your table, make sure that your table is clean. Because once your table is clean, once you've sorted out your table, only then can you think. Then can you think of putting the right things in the right place, looking at the right thing. Otherwise, you're just creating a mess on top of a mess. So that will give you the time to understand what is wrong, where is things going wrong. Then it's about sweeping. It's about changing the routines. It's about making the routine better. It's about ensuring that the process is now perfect and there's absolutely no waste in the process. Once you've clarified that there's no waste in the process, then you standardize the process. Then you make sure that the process can be standardized. This is the new process, redo, redo. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, till you've standardized the process, and then you maintain that process. And then when you keep maintaining the process, when you try to sustain the process, you will start creating waste again. So number 6 is generally nothing but creating waste again. So you will have to learn the 5S's technique. Every project has got 4 objectives, as you all know: scope, time, cost, and quality. And there's absolutely a strong connection between scope and quality. The deliverables that you produce in a project and the quality of these deliverables and how close they come to the specifications of the project criteria. So there is a strong connection between defects and the deliverables of the project. And it's very important to incorporate the Six Sigma thought process within projects in order to ensure that your deliverables are created defect-free. But also nowadays, it's very important to create a lean thought process within projects so that you can actually create a faster project. So poor quality will increase your project cost due to rework and failures. And that is something that's very connected to the objectives of this project. So Lean Six Sigma projects are undertaken by PMOs, are undertaken by organizations to make their projects better and ensuring that this connectivity is managed. The application of Six Sigma methods in project management at some point in time seemed absolutely impossible, because applying Six Sigma in scope management would make it quite rigorous when it comes to change management or clearer definitions. So the risk of time comes into play. Applying Six Sigma in time management would mean having clearer schedules and having immobile deadlines and careful monitoring. So people thought that Six Sigma would add a lot of fat into project management, that people would, suddenly there's documentation, suddenly there's a lot of, fat coming into the projects, which will actually make the project quite heavy to work with. But, that is the counter opposite of what Lean Six Sigma can really do. So as Sai said, by lean, can production be increased? That is the whole point of lean, isn't it? If you have the perfect process running in the company that creates 100 outputs in an hour, then why would you want to change the process? Because the process is perfect. It's not creating any defects. But if you need to create 120 outputs per hour, then lean has to come into play, Sai. So lean has to come into play if the production rates have to be increased. So at some point in time, people thought that project management and Lean Six Sigma cannot be combined. It is something that's absolutely not possible, because suddenly you're bringing in documentation and you're making the whole process extremely rigid, but actually it's quite counter-supportive. Six Sigma has its own challenges when it comes to organizations, because people see this as, wow, it's expensive. Wow, I don't know how to collect data. I don't know what is statistical data, and I don't know how to study data. So, really, do we need to do all this? But nowadays, given the challenges, it's absolutely important. Every organization that has got some sort of a project thought process has actually started adopting Lean Six Sigma. Every organization are now raising their expectations of leaders, managers, expecting them to have both thought processes, the understanding of projects, which is very important because Six Sigma is done in a project environment, and Lean Six Sigma, which is basically to avoid the waste and ensure that your processes are defect free. If you look at any examinations coming out nowadays, you will find lean as part. So just taking the PMP as an example, you will find that the PMP examination has completely changed because they have now started to incorporate the agile lean thought processes into project management. I'm just giving an example because if you look at the new examinations of PMP starting January, everything has changed. They want the agile thought process to come in. They want the lean thought process to come in. They want the industries, because all industries are now trying to be lean. All industries are now trying to be agile. To close my session for today, I'd like to leave you with a note, and that says, can Six Sigma be achieved in projects? I think, starting year 2000, when we had the 2000 bug, hundreds and hundreds of projects were successfully carried out with Lean Sigma thought process. If every project were to be approached like the Y2K problem that we had, probably we can actually make sure that Lean Six Sigma does help in that. Ray asked me a question. How does Six Sigma concept help in managing supply versus demand for a manufacturing facility? Actually, supply and demand are elements of any logistics and supply chain, you know that. But it's very important to understand that the demand in the market allows us to control our production rates. So the demands allow us to control our production rates. Supply allows us to manage our inventory. So if you're really looking at the best area to implement Six Sigma, you are looking at a factory or a manufacturing plant. And to be honest, manufacturing and production have been using this thought processes for almost hundreds of years now. So Six Sigma is ingrained in the manufacturing because of the very same question that you asked. How do I reduce inventory? How do I maintain inventory? How do I manage production? Because logistics works on what you've just said. Any questions with what we have spoken today?
Yes, please. I would like to ask you if you had chance to apply Six Sigma or Lean in any small or big company. If you could tell us in brief, the result.
I'll give you a very simple process. I'll give you a very simple example that we applied Six Sigma in. Almost in all companies, not just mine, we have a project almost 2 years, every 2 years, and I'm sure your companies also had it, that says business process reengineering. Have you done this project? Have you anybody undertaken a business process reengineering project? Sometimes we have unhappy employees. Sometimes we have unhappy customers. Sometimes in a call center, you are losing calls. Sometimes in a factory, out of every 100 items, you're getting one sample defective. So if you want to use Six Sigma, I have used Six Sigma in a factory because I own a printing press and I've very judiciously used Six Sigma there. If you talk about companies that I've worked for, I have used Six Sigma for business process engineering and re-engineering. I have used Six Sigma in construction, where our defect rates were very high in certain installations. So certain installations had higher defect rates than other certain installations. So certain work packages had a problem, certain packages did not have a problem. So starting from a quick fix problems to a complete business process re-engineering within my own company, I have done it. So can you do it in a bank? Of course, you can do it in a bank. Can you do it in a normal government organization? Of course, you can do it in a normal government organization. That's my answer.
Well, you said you implement Six Sigma in construction, specifically in installation. Can you tell me what was the defects per million, or what was the percentage in that?
Well, I obviously won't tell you what my company defect rate were, but obviously it was more than 3.4. I can tell you that. Obviously, we were not at one standard deviation, and obviously we're not at two standard deviations also. So yes, we were very far away from Six Sigma, or from the normal standard deviations that we wanted. So if you ask me which, I can give you a very simple example of a contractor who used to install CCTVs, and that's a very easy data to collect, CCTVs installed versus defects produced. So, and if you look at that company, they were doing 50 implementations at one time. So they were having serious implementations at all points during that stage. And if you look at the defect rate that they were coming to, it was quite massive. And then, you can apply it for glass installations, you can apply it for tiles installations, you can apply, every work activity that you have, you can apply this logic. And you will be quite surprised to see the results. When you collect data, Zoe, you will be surprised, because we think that there is no defects, or we think that the defect rate is very less. But when you collect data and you then start to measure it, the results are astounding, to say the least. And then we compute it to money wasted, and we compute it to profits lost. It's something that's scary, to say the least.
Excuse me, can I ask one question?
Sure, Ziad.
Yeah, continue, please.
No, Ziad, please ask the question.
Okay, sorry. Just what is the difference between lean projects and Six Sigma projects, especially in healthcare facilities or institutions, and when we are going to use lean, and when we are going to use Six Sigma, especially in healthcare?
It doesn't matter, Zed, where you use it. I'll just give you one example. If you have it in your head, I'm sure you will your questions answered. Always remember this. Lean is speed. Okay? Just remember this. And Six Sigma is the improvement or
effect.
Simple. All right. Okay. So if you're now in a healthcare, okay, and you have a problem in the hospital, you have a problem, you will undertake this. All right. You will undertake this because there's a problem, you have to fix the problem. Now you have fixed the problem. Let's assume that you've collected data, you've analyzed the data, you have made sure you have fixed the problem. But now you want to increase the speed of the process. Do this. Are you with me?
Okay.
If you want to do both, you want to increase the speed of the process as well as to make sure that the process is defect-free, do Lean Six Sigma. Clear?
Clear, of course. Thanks.
You're welcome. Rebecca?
Just a clarification, how do you relate the process capability like CPK or CP in terms to Six Sigma? Yes, sir. How do you relate this process capability to Six Sigma?
Now, when we talk about process capability, there are two things that we have to discuss when it comes to process capability. Number one, is the process capable to produce the output that we want? So the process could be faulty. Are you with me? The process is faulty, but it's able to produce what we want. All right. Or the process is faulty and it's not able to produce what we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Both of them are process capability. Sometimes the process is faulty. You know, we get up. It's like saying, how do I put it? We have to get to work at 9 o'clock. We get up at 8:45, but somehow we reach work at 9 o'clock. So the process is very faulty, but we're able to reach on time, correct? Sometimes we have to reach at 9 o'clock, we get up at 8:45 and we're not able to reach the work on time. So the process is faulty and the output is faulty. So both. So when we talk about process capability, again, Six Sigma becomes more important, not lean, because Six Sigma tries to ensure that the process, two things, reduces the defect rates, and more importantly, ensures that the process is defect free as you improve it from time to time.
Thank you, sir.
Zoeb?
I just want to know if we can implement Six Sigma in multiple departments at one time, or so that we can look at from a broader view or from a broader picture, or shall we implement in one department or in one area and get the output and then move to the second and then the third and then fourth?
Now, it's a very interesting question, and if the class is okay, I would like to pass the question to the class rather than me answering. So, Zoeb, would you like to take the question from the class? What do you guys think? I mean, if we have, first of all, which kind of a project was Zoeb talking about? Out of the 5 or 6 projects that we have, which kind of a project was Zoeb talking about? Zoeb, what do you think?
I think it's an infrastructure kind of.
Let's agree on that. So there's an infrastructure project that you're thinking about. If you take an infrastructure project, there are 2 questions you need to answer first. Is the problem hitting your business? Okay. And what is the impact that the problem has on your business? If the problem has a serious impact on your business, you will undertake, I repeat, you will undertake improvements across all departments at one go. Because the problem is too big not to be solved immediately, even if it's at an organizational level. If you talk about a business process reengineering at an organizational level, which means, you know, we have to improve and we have to get better at what we're doing, then we can go department by department, even if it's an infrastructure project. So the answer is not straight away a yes or a no. It's subjective depending on the problem that you have. If the problem is a problem that is a disaster to the company, then obviously you'll have to look at everything together, isn't it? Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes, ladies, gents, any questions? Okay, no questions. I think everybody's off to sleep. Great, Rizwan. I can hand over the control back to you.
Clearly.
I put you to sleep. Yes, thank you. But yes.
Sai Kiran have a question. I think he's messaged over here.
All right, Sai. When Motorola introduced Six Sigma, means they were aware in problem fixing. Why they failed in mobiles? I don't think when Motorola, I think it's a wrong question. I don't think Motorola introduced Six Sigma when they were failing. I think they introduced Motorola introduced Six Sigma long before the Nokias. In fact, they were the first to be, you know, if you remember, they were the first to be out there, and they were the first to be really lean and defect free. So they just had one thought process, and that is, if we are going to go into mobile production, we want our mobiles to be defect free. So the customer satisfaction ratio went very high, and they were actually quite happy with the results. And you can see that there was a certain point in time in their history where they were actually quite fast. They were ruling the market and they had good profits. So I think what they failed in technology, what they failed is innovation, but they didn't fail in processes. They didn't fail in the production rates. They failed in the innovation part. So yeah, so I would agree to that. I don't think Motorola lacks agility approach. I think they lack innovation, or at that point in time, they lacked innovation. Or if you really compare, Apple came up with something that is. One more question that says, is lean and agile terminology synonymous for processes? That's a very good question. I think lean and agile are almost close to each other, almost very much. Agile is a project language, lean is a factory language. Now it's coming together. In fact, lean is a practice of agile. So agile has got many practices like Scrum and Kanban and I don't know, many practices. Lean is one practice of agile in today's world. Tariq says, do we have very few opportunities for green belts? I don't think that's a correct question. I think green belts is all about data processing, and it's like a project engineer plus a project manager. Green belts are project engineers, people who know how to do the job, people who can analyze the job, people who can work with the job. So, if you want to compare green belts and black belts, project managers are black belts and project engineers are green belts. If you want to combine the two, this is why the PMP plus Six Sigma is a great combination, because project managers who have the PMP then go for the Six Sigma because they want to combine the data analysis thought process with their project management techniques. So that's why I think this is a very important step. So Zed, thank you. You can now go to sleep, Zed. And thank you for the wishes. Have a very good evening. So ladies and gents, I think thank you very much. I've taken a lot of your time and I'm glad it went on, but thank you very much for staying alive. Thank you for listening to the session, and I will hand it over back to Rizwan. So Rizwan, I'm starting to hand over the remote.
Yeah, just give me the remote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you guys. But before we end the session, I would like to brief you about this journey on how we can achieve Lean Six Sigma Green Belt or the other certifications with the help of Red Learning. So first of all, we offer the training sessions now. As we have gathered today, it's virtual mode. We are doing it online, so delegates from different locations can join in. We are offering these sessions on weekends only. We have no change in schedules. I'll be sharing the schedules as well. And this journey, we would make a roadmap of between 45 days to ensure that your journey is smooth towards this certification. You get a lot of support with respect to exam prep guide, application support, and the learning management system. So it's not only the Zoom meeting which we are coming across, there's access to a system which will give you this roadmap and a stepwise approach towards this certification and ensure that you clear the certification in first attempt, which includes your mock-up exams too. So you have some dummy set of examinations also. We have a fixed faculty, and the best what we can offer you is with Mr. Najmul Hussain as program director. Technical certifications, we have Mr. Vivek, Rosina Nawaz for Agile, Nitin Chowdhury for supply chain, Venkat for management related to trainings, and Pinaki for human resources. As I mentioned earlier, we have these dates for you guys starting from 2nd July. We have Lean Six Sigma Green Belt starting. Now, this certification body, what is going to offer you Lean Six Sigma Green Belt is CSSC. And the best part about this is you give the you pay for the exam only once, you get 3 free attempts. And as Sahana had ensured and mentioned in the start, there's no failures yet recorded for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. We have Mr. Najmul Hussain as faculty available, who was the speaker, who is the speaker for the webinar too, for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and project management professional. So these are the course fee what has been given across is 2,500 dirhams. As you have gathered everyone over here, whoever has registered for the webinar can avail an offer price of only 2,000 dirhams for the course fee. And you can have the dates. I have displayed the date. 16 July, we start with PMP. Program management for senior officials can go ahead on 17 July. It's a Saturday programs. Agile on 4th July. Lean Six Sigma Green Belt again on 2nd July, which will be starting within this 2 weeks. And human resources, if there's any HR in this guest list, we can start by 9 July. So this is the main 35 hours training program we have here to offer you, which will give you and ensure that you are getting the certification done. That's why, and the good part is you can register paying just 1,000 dirham, and when you start the program, you can pay the balance 1,000. So the offer is valid for today as well tomorrow. So whoever's registered with us can go ahead and register for this training program. The link to register will be shared in the WhatsApp group where everyone has gathered. So that should support you with the registration process. If you have any questions with respect to the examination procedure, I can guide you. We are offering Lean Six Sigma. Yes, please, Zoeb. Zoeb, I can hear you.
I was just checking if the course is like after working hours, or it will be on Fridays, or it will be a normal for during the week.
Okay, that's great. Good you raised this option. As I mentioned, we are doing weekend session. So Lean Six Sigma Green Belt will be on a Friday, second half, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And one more day, which will be Tuesday on a weekday evening after 7 p.m. That ensures that it will be covered within 5 weeks. So this is the max journey, and within the 6th week, you can sit for the exam. Now, the good part is you can give the examination from home. It's online. So we will be giving you the guidance on how to apply for the exam also. Babar, I received your question regarding the FIDIC program. FIDIC is 2-day program. It's total 16 hours program. It will be Sundays and Tuesdays after Sundays and Wednesdays after office hours 7 p.m. So this is just within 2 to max 3 weeks we will wrap FIDIC program, and it's you will be awarded with a training completion certificate from KHDA.
Sir, who will provide the examination?
Sorry?
Who will provide the examination? Is it through Prometrics?
Yeah, so for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, the CSSC body will provide the examination. You can do it at your place. It's online. From home, you can give the examination.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah. So Council
Okay,
for Six Sigma is from US. That's the body. FIDIC exam fees, the training fees is less compared to the 35 hours programs. FIDIC is 1,500 dirhams. Discounted price, you can avail it for 1,200 only. Any other question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
So the first that I can see courses, this is courses, but it's only a preparation for the exam.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
So where are the course itself?
Yeah, so this includes your training program, but when you apply for this examination, okay, these training becomes mandatory for you. So the 35 to 40 hours of training what we offer is mandatory and included and registered in your application when we submit for the examination. So you're not only trained for the exam, but also being trained on the subject. on how you can relate with your current profiles.
So I will be having the whole course of, like, say, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. I will have the course, and then I also will have the exam, correct?
Exactly. So
So
examination.
the course starts on the second. When will be the
Second.
exam?
Yeah. So the good part is you raised a good question. Examination can be scheduled by you. Once your training is completed, your application is approved. You can select a date on the next available date. Once you're ready, you can select a date and give it from home. So within
You mean on your LMS, correct?
No, it's by CSSC. So the governing body, the examination body, is Council for Six Sigma Certification from US. So they will conduct your examination. We will guide you on how to approach towards this exam and how to clear this exam in first attempt. So this training becomes mandatory, Dan.
Okay. What about the other one, that the courses, like other one for 1,499? What about these ones?
For those courses, it's only training. There's no examination as an when related with it. So you get a training completion certificate. It's for you to get more information on those subjects.
Like it's for my own use, not for the certificate purpose.
But definitely you will be getting a KSDA approved certificate on completion of those trainings.
Okay, without the exam.
Without the
Okay,
examination.
understood.
Yes. So once you complete the training, you receive the certificate, which you receive for other certifications also. Yeah.
Rizwan, I have a question.
Also the PDUs for the course, Rizwan, for the PMP courses for all the short certifications.
Yeah. So if as someone had mentioned at the start that they were PMP certified, the short courses, even the other courses except for PMP, can offer you PDUs, which is between 16 to 35 PDUs you can gain, which will help you to renew your certificates, renew your PMP certificates. So if somebody is PMP certified or PGMP certified, they can apply for other training programs, which will give 35 direct PDUs to their certificate credits to renew the certificate. So that is the other advantage of having the training done.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
What about the today learning outcomes? Will we have whatever we learned today? We will have this file sent to us on the WhatsApp group. And what about the recording?
Yeah, we would if somebody would need, or you can request for the recording, we can share the link. But
the recording normally comes out on the website. So if you look at our website, you'll have all the recordings available for all the course, all the webinars. So it's available. I think after a few days, it normally lands up on the website.
What about the presentation itself?
The presentation, no.
Diana, this is just a trailer. You need to watch the full movie.
I don't think we really covered anything in today's presentation. It's a joke, but yeah.
So there's a lot more to be covered when you appear for the training. You'll come across a lot of eye openers. Somebody raised a good question. How long the certificate is valid? The good part is Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. Once you pass the exam, it's a lifetime certificate what they offer you. So there's no renewal process with Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. When it comes to PMP, it is valid for next 3 years. So within 3 years, you need to update yourself, having other trainings done and collect PDUs.
How many hours each lesson will be? Or how many hours?
Lean Six Sigma Green Belt.
Are they different, or are they all supposed to be all the same? Because all of them are 35 to 40 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So actually, how many hours each per week, or how it goes?
So this is actually all the training programs has same pattern. So if it's on a weekend, as I said, Friday, it will be 4 hours, and one day in a weekday, it will be 3 hours. So this helps you to cover.
So it's almost 3 to 4 weeks each one, right?
Yes.
I think it goes to around 5 weeks is one. My trainings are going about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
About 40 hours.
5 weeks is for long courses. 3 weeks is for short courses.
So the one without exam will be 3 weeks only.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because actually, I am interested more in the one, the short ones without the exam. Because now, at this moment, I'm doing my MBA, So it will be very difficult for me to commit for another 5 hours per week. So the short courses will be better for me. That's why, sorry, I'm asking so much.
No, it's fine.
And which one specifically you're looking for in short course?
Actually, I was interested in maybe sales business development.
Okay.
Yeah. Because actually, if I don't know what about this emotional intelligence short course, if I have like what I will learn there, if you can send a brief or share a brief about each one of the course, what exactly it's about, maybe I can choose better.
Sure. We'll share the outline with you, so you will get a
please.
clear idea about what has been covered.
Yeah, so I can, I can choose. Maybe I'd like to see to attend one, maybe two. So I need to know what is it about exactly. Thank you so much.
No problem then. I'll be sharing that.
Varasheri asked a question, is the certificate provided by Council of Six Sigma? The answer is yes. We don't provide the final certificate, it's provided by the Academy, like PMI or Council of Six Sigma or APICS or HRI.
So yeah, immediately the certificate is released. The results are immediate. Within 24 hours, it will be sent across on your email and on the CSSE website that you have passed Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. So it's issued by CSSE, Council for Six Sigma Certification.
What's the exam fee?
Examination fee for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt is approx 700 dirhams. But again, if you apply through Red Learning, you get almost a 25% discount on that course fee. Approx that discount you get because we are authorized training providers for CSSC in UAE.
And how many attempts? Is it like 3 attempts or it's just a 1 attempt?
No, you get 3 free attempts, but I think you should not think about the other 2 attempts. You will clear in the first attempt. You get 3 free attempts with 1 exam fee payment.
Okay, Ruswan, I had a question.
Yeah, Femi.
Yeah, Ruswan. So if in case if I'm not able to attend the class because of the timing which you have provided, so would I be able to like how we did for the PMP? Would I be able to access the documents and all the materials online and click in, or how is it?
Yeah, definitely. Now, if somebody misses a session, the ultimate agenda of having virtual sessions and being recorded, the person who's missing it will definitely get that particular session available on the LMS uploaded. So you can go back to the recordings and you can review the content of what was being taught that day, and you can prepare for the next session.
Okay. And also, will I PDUs if I do like the Lean Six Sigma course? Will I get PDUs for PMP or how does it?
Exactly. So you will be applicable for 35 PDUs after completing the training.
35 PDUs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, here is no black belt certification.
Yes, Mr. Babar.
This black belt.
For black belt, are you green belt certified, sir?
No.
Yeah. So for black belt, you need to have a green belt certification, which will give you the base when it comes to black belt training.
But also you need to have completed a Six Sigma project. So you should have either taken a quick fix project or a process re-engineering project. Remember the 5 projects that we spoke about, you should have done a project and you have to submit the documentation for that before you can apply for the exam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So any other questions?
Sir, one more thing. Can you explain regarding this FIDIC short course on which year it is based for 87 or 99?
Yes, it is FIDIC 99. It's the FIDIC Red Book Conditions of Contract.
So in this course, sir, you will explain the whole clauses of this FIDIC 99.
Inshallah, mostly extensions of time claims and disputes and yeah, those kind of stuff.
Yes, because I am facing too much difficulty with our cost consultant.
We all are facing problems with FIDIC. Yes, so this is a challenge. But yeah, the FIDIC Red Book conditions of contract, from general conditions to all the way down to
but sir, the problem is that our contract is based on 1987.
Yeah, but this is the new book, so obviously we have to teach the new book.
Thank you, sir.
Rizwan, one more question regarding the MS project technical course. So how does that work actually? So is it just still online, and because that's a software, isn't it? So
exactly.
How will
so
that work?
The trainer usually shares the link to download the software, and he's training you remotely.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question was if I'll get a software, like how will it will?
Yes. All the technical trainings will come with a demo software, so that you can practice.
Okay.
So before the class starts, one day prior, we share the links to download and keep it in your system. So that will help you on the training day.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Rizwan. Thanks.
All right, Rizwan. Thank you.
So, thank you, guys, and I'll be sharing the link to register in the group, and with the outline, you can have this contact if you need anything, or you can reach out to us in the group as well on our website.
Thank you.
Thank you, Najmal.
Thank you.